Every fairy tale today seems to share a few common traits. A character is typically tied to a time limit, a devious individual you might be related to is probably after you, and the power to undo the villain's evil normally comes from one simple, beautiful, and powerful kiss. Snow White was saved with a kiss. Ariel required true love's kiss to remain a human. And Tiana, Aurora, Giselle, and even Fiona needed a kiss to save them too. Fascinated with fairy tales, Disney, and the pursuit of true love, I had to know where this cornerstone of fairy tales came from. Is true love's kiss as old as time, or is it something here that wasn't there before? Hello, I'm Isaac from What's So Videos, where we discuss fun topics for fun people. I'm all about spreading the magic of Disney, so today I'm going to be exploring the history and origin of the fairy tale trope, true love's kiss. By the way, if you'd like to learn more about True Love's Kiss after the video, I've provided all the links to the movies and the resources I used in the description. Thousands of years ago, people began sharing tales which they would pass down from generation to generation, which of course we would eventually call legends, fables, or fairy tales. Stories like Beauty and the Beast and Rumpelstiltskin have been estimated to come about some 4,000 years ago, while Jack and the Beanstalk likely derived over 5,000 years ago. Although many people associate fairy tales with true love and the famous kiss that goes along with it to resolve the curse or conflict of the tale, in truth, many of these stories were created before kissing was an established norm, and long before a kiss was the pinnacle of expression of love. While it has been suggested all humans innately kiss from an evolutionary standpoint, this is not true due to a plethora of indigenous cultures throughout the world who actually don't kiss. Instead of humans being born with the desire to kiss, another possibility could have kissing be a social behavior evolved from kiss feeding. You know, when a mother feeds a child chewed food with mouth to mouth. But regardless to how icky that sounds to me right now, or how kissing began, it has evolved a great deal over the last few thousand years since its beginning. In the 5th century BC, Herodotus' histories documented the kissing among the Persians, who greeted men with kisses that differed depending on an individual's rank. In the Old Testament of the Bible, kisses were referenced as a way to pass on a blessing, and around the 2nd century BC, the famous Indian text known as the Kama Sutra describes the intricacies and diverse reasons for kissing. Each society had their own reasons for kissing, but with the spread of exotic kisses to the west after Alexander the Great invaded India, the Romans would make kissing commonplace. Romans integrated kissing into their society. They kissed their partners, family, friends, and rulers, distinguishing a kiss on the hand or cheek from a kiss on the lips, and from a deep or passionate kiss based on the nature of the relationship and the social status of a Roman citizen. Kissing was everywhere and was celebrated, which is why they were the ones who introduced the tradition of couples kissing in front of gathered assemblies after getting married. So next time you go to a wedding and see a couple having their first kiss, thank the Romans. The decline of Rome and the rise of Christianity meant a transition of kissing to become simply a greeting and the solidification of social order. You know, like when people ceremoniously kiss a king's robe. With the fall of Rome though, kissing kind of faded away, and the romantic kiss and the true love's kiss we're after to explain seem to have disappeared for over 1,000 years. Finally re-emerging at the end of the 11th century again with the rise of courtly love. During a time where courtship was common practice, a movement began to remove courtship from the control of family and society and transition relationships to be based in romantic love. Couples longed to feel liberated and in control of their own fate. They hoped to be with someone they were excited and passionate about and who felt the same way. Someone they would be willing to fight for and save, bringing forth the age where love's kiss began to take shape. While kissing was slowly evolving into the act we think of today, being associated with love and relationships, fairy tales were beginning to have bursts of popularity that would change the nature of storytelling forever. The stories that had been shaped and morphed and altered for hundreds to thousands of years were finally being collected, recorded, printed, and distributed at mass scale by authors using the printing press. Although the authors of these fairy tale collections were altering these stories for the times, and kissing was now associated with romantic relationships and present in society again, true love's kiss was not present in most stories. Although in Giambattista Basilier's 2-volume Pentamerone in 1634 and 1636 featured a version of Sleeping Beauty where she was actually impregnated during her curse and gave birth in her sleep, only awakening to her own baby suckling her finger because it dislodged the piece of flax which had caused her curse, Charles Perrault updates this story for a wider audience a few decades later. In 1697, Charles Perrault's Mother Goose Tales altered Sleeping Beauty's story and established an idea that would one day be integral to the genre of fairy tales. For the first time in Perrault's version, a princess can only be brought back from her 100-year slumber by having a prince fall beneath her and awaken her with a kiss. Other stories possessed moments where love would be expressed to break a curse, but very few tales had the magical kiss. Inspired by Perrault and Madame d'Aulnoy, who created stories like Goldilocks, Gabrielle Susan Barbeau de Villeneuve created her version of Beauty and the Beast in 1740 and included Beauty's loving tears over the death of the Beast as the catalyst to transform the Beast into the prince of her dreams. Tears are also made powerful in the Brother Grimm's version of Rapunzel in 1812. After Rapunzel's true love had lost her and went blind, when they are reunited and fall into each other's arms, her tears immediately restore his sight. On the other hand, other fairy tales had the curses lifted in really curious ways, not even based on love. The Brother Grimm's Snow White awoke from her curse after her coffin was dropped and the poisoned apple is dislodged from her throat. And in an Albanian version by Johan Jorg van Haan, Snow White grows thin during her curse, which makes her hands thin, allowing the curse-inducing ring to just fall off. In addition, in the Brother Grimm's 1842 iteration of The Frog Prince, the prince's curse was originally lifted after the princess threw him against a wall, although that would later be changed to a kiss. Hans Christian Andersen's 1845 The Snow Queen, which was the inspiration for Frozen, did have Gerda, the Anna character, run up to Kai, the Kristoff character, and kiss him, which saved him from the Snow Queen's curse. But on the whole, true love's kiss was not really present in fairy tales, and definitely wasn't a common trope people expected until the 20th century. Fairy tales continue to be passed down to each generation, many of them coming directly from the writings of the authors I referenced earlier. These stories were ingrained into culture and beloved by many, including Walt Disney. After a roller coaster of ups and downs in the animation business, Walt had finally gained enough traction with his shorts to pursue the creation of the first feature-length animated film, and he wanted to create it based on one of the first films he witnessed in his youth, Snow White. But of course, this wasn't going to be a direct retelling. Similarly to how the authors who documented the fairy tales altered the age stories for text, Walt reworked Snow White to take advantage of the medium of film and update the story for the times. The huge transition from text to film brought about the need for visual cues and the ability to create cinematic moments. Effective filmmaking externalizes the inner feelings of the characters and utilizes the visual nature of the medium to do this. To create a satisfying conclusion, we desire to see an outcome obtained. So since Snow White desired to find love and her prince, Walt had to show us that dream was achieved. Good conquering evil, the romanticism of love prevailing, and Snow White's attainment of her prince culminates when the two have their first kiss. Love and the need to pursue one's dreams becomes an important theme throughout Walt's feature films. He continued to rework princess stories to be optimistic, hopeful, and magical, resulting in Walt Disney redefining the fairy tale on his own, and the final kiss was an important element of that. It provided an idealistic conclusion that visually ends the film on a magical tone, which is why Cinderella kisses her prince in her final moments, and Aurora is awoken due to her love's kiss. And Sleeping Beauty, the original fairy tale to popularly create the all-powerful kiss, was the film that finally uttered the magic words.
And from this slumber you shall wake, when true love's kiss the spell shall break.
True Love's Kiss was established in the days of Walt Disney and was made into a large-scale theatrical event in many of Disney's Renaissance films, solidifying the trope into pop culture. Only in the last few hundred years of our species' history has love and kissing been intertwined into mainstream culture, resulting in many of the original fairy tales from oral history to not possess true love's kiss. The powerful and magical kiss was around in certain fairy tales, but it wasn't until recently with the production of Walt Disney's genre-defying films that resulted in the trope's creation. The final kiss meant everything in princess films because it visually showed the princess's dreams of happiness were finally coming true. So now it's time for the question of the day, sponsored by my patrons. To become a patron yourself, check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/WatsoVideos. What is your favorite Disney kiss? And should I do more history videos like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, along with any other ideas you have for future Discovering Disney episodes. If you enjoyed discussing the origin of True Love's kiss, then click that like button. And if you are interested in staying up to date with more magical Disney videos, then click that subscribe button, and please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you'd like to see more Watso videos, then check out some awesome pics over here. And as always, thanks for watching and have a magical day.